filed. We'll do the debate after.
Can you put a price on their suffering? If this was you, how much would be enough to shut you up? If this was you, what amount of cold cash could act as a balm for your pain? As Sikh protesters took to the streets demanding the Modi government fulfill its promises of ensuring justice to the 1984 victims, they were met with more promises.
ਸਾਡੀ ਐਨਡੀਏ ਦੀ ਬੀਜੇਪੀ ਸ਼੍ਰੋਮਣੀ ਅਕਾਲੀ ਦਲ ਦੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਕੇਂਦਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਈ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ ਰਾਜ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਈ ਹੈ, ਅਸੀਂ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਪੂਰੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ 84 ਦੇ ਦੰਗਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਸੰਬੰਧ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਨਿਆਂ ਮਿਲੇ।
Right now we're at Jantar Mantar at the protest site where members from various Sikh groups across the national capital have gathered demanding justice against for those who suffered in the 1984 riots.
Is this just callousness, or did the formidable Modi electioneering juggernaut err grievously? The offer of rupees 5 lakhs as compensation has only reopened old wounds. Victims want more action against the guilty.
हम लोग चाहते हैं कि एक ऐसा कानून बने जिसमें दंगों के बाद जो उसके मुजरिम हैं उनको सजाएं मिलें।
This is an act of state terrorism. It has been planned at the highest level.
Others say the compensation is a step in the right direction, but much more needs to be done. The demands focus on reminding the Prime Minister of his promise of ordering a SIT.
Humanity is on the top. Religions have come after that. So that is the symbol of the communal harmony. Any compensation cannot be substitute for justice. We want justice.
Historians agree that the 1984 riots were singularly political in their nature. Consequently, in the probe that followed, it was difficult to keep politics out. The Modi government's compensation announcement is also being viewed politically.
The 84 violence was a blot on civilization. But coming as it does from the mouth of the Prime Minister, it sounds very hypocritical.
1984 के कत्लेआम के लोगों को अगर सजा दे दी जाती तो शायद उसके बाद गोदरा कांड करने की किसी की हिम्मत नहीं होती।
तो अगर सबका विकास है तो इस तरह से सिलेक्टेड लोगों को अपने हित के कारण कोई मदद घोषित करना, ये मैं समझता हूँ अच्छी बात नहीं।
For them, despite the changes in the country's political dispensation, it seems more remains the same. If the Congress was accused of doing less, the BJP has surprised many by dragging its feet on the SIT. The wait for justice continues. With Vandana Sebastian, Bureau Report, NewsX.
That's what we're discussing right now. The government's move to pay 5 lakh as compensation, the demand for an SIT by various political entities and otherwise, Sikh groups and activists saying, some of them at least, that they do not need or want compensation, they need justice to be done. We'll discuss all the scenarios and the possibility perhaps of a fresh SIT to probe into the anti-Sikh riots of 1984. Joining us tonight on the panel, H.S. Phulka, lawyer for the anti-Sikh riots victims and senior lawyer. R.P. Singh will join us as well, National Secretary of the BJP. He'll join us in just a moment. Jaiveer Shergill, spokesperson of the Congress Party. Tejinder Pal, he's an eyewitness of the 1984 riots, also joins us. Professor Madhav Nalpat, editorial director of the Sunday Guardian, will complete the panel. Many thanks, gentlemen, for joining us tonight on this very important, crucial and a very sensitive topic. I'd like to start with H.S. Phulka, if I could. H.S. Phulka, when I asked you for your first reaction after we came to know the government is going to give a fresh compensation of 5 lakhs, you welcomed the move. So did many others. Having said that, there are some other people who say that compensation is not what is needed. The only way justice can be done is when a fresh SIT is probing this particular case and all those perpetrators who murdered on the streets of Delhi in 1984 during that eventful year are brought to justice. What is your stand now? Do you think compensation helps? Do you think giving compensation could send the wrong signals? What is your take on this?
You see, I do not agree that the compensation is not required. Under the Indian law, the compensation as well as the punishment to the guilty, both are mandatory. If somebody has suffered a loss and the government has failed to protect the life and liberty of a citizen, the government is duty bound to compensate. Now that is for the compensation, and compensation is meant to rehabilitate the victim. Now the law requires the guilty should be punished. Now that is to give justice to the victim, and more than that, it is to act as a deterrent for the future and to send a message that the law is supreme. Now what is happening? A message is going that the word of a politician is supreme. If a politician tells you to commit a crime, then you do and in a mob frenzy commit a crime, you will be absolved, you will go scot-free. That need to be checked, and the people should know it that this politician's word is not the last word. If they commit a crime, they will be hauled up under the law.
Okay, let me go across to Professor Madhav Nalpat before I come back to Tejinder in just a moment. Professor Nalpat, many Sikh groups have come out and said we don't really need compensation. We want an SIT constituted as soon as possible so that it can reprobe what happened in 1984, because people believe almost the entire Sikh community who was affected in the 1984 riots believe that justice has eluded them. Perpetrators who created created havoc on the streets of Delhi in 84 are still roaming free. That is the demand. Now, do you think the Modi government, having taken a good step, as Mr. Phulka put it, can also follow it up with quick action by forming an SIT? We're getting indications from the BJP that an SIT could be formed. The Congress has absolutely no objection to it. Even the Aam Aadmi Party getting into the act, Arvind Kejriwal writing to the Prime Minister. Do you think forming an SIT could send a far bigger signal of trust and faith than just giving out compensation?
Well, if the SIT is properly constituted, most definitely I would favor an SIT. In fact, it's 30 years late. Now, you must remember, Atar, that in almost every communal riot, people of more than one community get killed, and the police also get killed. Now, in Delhi, I mean, I was there in Delhi as a journalist covering those riots, and the memory is still very horribly fresh in my mind. Only members of one community were killed. As far as I recall, nobody from the police were killed. It was not really a riot. I mean, it was an organized, if I may say so, massacre of a particular community by some small groups of people. So I am totally of the view that an SIT should be constituted.
Okay, Mr. Jaiveer Shergill, I'm coming to you in just a moment, and what the Congress really thinks of an SIT. Before that, I'd like to go across to Tejinder. You were eyewitness of the 84 riots. It's been a long, hard battle for people who were affected in those riots, people who lost near and dear ones in the riot in that horrific, heinous manner. Do you think compensation first by the Manmohan Singh government, then now by the Modi government? There have been 2 batches now, fresh compensation has been given. What is your view as someone who witnessed that massacre in 84? What is the justice demand from you?
Before I comment on this, riots never happened in 1984. It was a genocide, anti-Sikh genocide orchestrated by a pre-planned conspiracy to eliminate a particular community. As being attached to a family who lost 3 people, the compensation definitely comes as a support to fight this battle. The families are not dependent upon the compensation. We have survived those 30 years not on because of compensation, because of our will to survive, to fight the case. Compensation cannot substitute justice. We are very clear that we only want justice. Justice has no price tag attached to it. These price tags will hamper and has actually hampered the very faith in the judicial system because of the delayed and denied justice.
There's also a political angle to this, and I want to discuss this with my panelists as well. Jaiveer Shergill, first, before we do that, I want your opinion and the party's opinion. There is increased pressure now for an SIT to be constituted for the 84 genocide, as Mr. Tejinder called it right now. The Congress party, does it have any objection if an SIT is probed, and how soon should it be done?
Okay, Atar, I'll answer your question straight away. We have definitely no objection to the SIT, and when Mr. Phulka last year raised the demand, we held a press conference and we said if there is a need of a SIT, we don't oppose that move and it definitely should be done. Yesterday I was on a discussion with Tejinder ji and Phulka ji last night, and I said, we cannot, undo what happened. It was a black day in the history of our nation, and no amount of money can compensate. But the BJP's decision and the timing of it sucks out the genuinity and the well-meaningness behind the decision. And the election commission to the BJP election commission notice to the BJP proves that fact. They merely use it as a political handle which they peddle for their political purposes. Now, today, no political party, and I say including Congress, can compensate what happened. But look at how genuinely you attempted to reconcile and heal the wounds, whether it's apologizing, whether it is providing a support. Now, as far as BJP is concerned, look at the irony of this entire thing. 2006, when we announced same amount of compensation, they said it's a drop in the ocean. In 2010, overnight they evicted 28 Sikh families from the Kutch region. The High Court had to intervene. They stopped the eviction. Mr. Modi filed an appeal in the Supreme Court insisting that the Sikh families are evicted. So today this is merely a political stunt. The Election Commission notice
RP Singh has joined us right now.
And I reiterate my stand. If SIT, the LG, Mr. Fulka had written to the LG approved it based on media reports. A notification is yet to be issued. If it is issued, we have absolutely no objection.
1 second, Jaiveer. 1 second. RP Singh of the BJP has joined us right now. Let me put your accusation or allegation right across to Mr. Singh for him to respond. You know, Congress says they don't have a problem with compensation. They don't have a problem with the SIT. They want justice to be done. Let's take them at face value. They say your moves or motives are political. How would you respond?
They are the perpetrators of the massacre, the genocide. It was a Congress party, then ruling party, which did it only to garner the vote that time. For the same ever they thought they can garner the majority vote by trying to put minority up front, saying that minority is going to eat away or hit the nation. So let's not tell what Congress is telling us now. And all this year they have been protecting their leaders throughout, whether it was Mr. Sajjan Kumar or anyone else. They are protecting the leaders to this extent that Sheila Dixit even went to the extent of condoning requesting the LG then to condone the death of some Kishori Lal, who was sentenced by Supreme Court for butchering several people. He butchered 7 people, and he was given sentence for 7 lifetimes.
Singh, you know, the question really is
went to LG asking for condoning the life sentence of that.
Mr. Singh, the question is simple. The question is simple. Your detractors are saying... Allow me, sir.
What Congress has done to them.
Allow me, sir. There's some slight problem with the link as well. We'll come back to Mr. RP Singh. And let me put this question to Mr. Fulka in the meantime. Mr. Fulka, while we get RP Singh back, let me ask you this. The detractors of this new fresh compensation package by the Prime Minister are saying that if they cared, why now? Why just before... seemingly when the Delhi polls are going to happen? Delhi has a large Sikh community and a large Sikh population in a lot of things, in a lot of constituencies. They're saying this is nothing but a mere poll swap. If it is or if it is not, I will not speculate. But do you think those people, those detractors might have a point, or do you think they're just trying to score their own political points there?
You see, I am otherwise against BJP because I belong to Aam Aadmi Party. But here I would like to give the benefit to the BJP because it was announced on the anniversary. So you cannot say that it is, election happened to be there around that time. When they have announced it on the anniversary, when the issue was raised so vehemently, the media picked it up at that time. So I wouldn't like to call it's a political game or something. When it is announced at the right time, at the anniversary, this amount is given, and I welcome it.
Okay, see, there's the reaction, Professor Nalpat, that you get from Mr. Fulka, someone who's been at the forefront of fighting this case. He's been an activist for the anti-Sikh riots of 84, their victims. If he even believes he's giving a clean sheet, the benefit of the doubt to the Modi government, then do you think it's fair for people like Mr. Shergill, like his party, to criticize a compensation which might not really heal the wounds, but at least it helps?
Well, Atar, I'd like to say that in my view, as a practical individual, if some step has got a beneficial result, then I think it's a mistake for us to go into motives and try and impute motives into that step. If the step is a good step, and certainly the giving of compensation to these innocent families is a very good step, there's no doubt about it. But the only point I would like to make is, to ensure that it's not seen as political, please don't restrict it to Delhi. There were people of that particular community who suffered the same fate as many individuals in Delhi, outside Delhi as well, in other states as well, as I recall. And these people also should be given the same extent of compensation. It should not be Delhi specific.
Okay.
It should be specific to the
this
victims of that particular.
This is applicable all over India.
Mr. Tejinder Singh wants to say something. Tejinder Pal Singh, yes, go ahead, sir.
See,
then that's excellent. That's very, very good.
Yes, Mr.
Very, very good.
Now the issue is, whenever we raise this issue of 1984, the Congress comes up with this allegation, what happened in Gujarat, what happens there. Does two wrongs make one right? Never. We as a community have strong faith in Indian judicial system. That is the reason that for last 30 years, people like H.S. Fulka and the witnesses have survived the trauma of 1984 till date.
And the fight continues.
And there is another thing. The system has been deliberately delayed. I'll take the example of my mother-in-law, Mrs. Jaspal Kaur, widow of a 1962 and 71 war army soldier. She is now 85. Do you think by another 5 years, if it keeps on dragging like this, 80% of witnesses would not be there in this world? So this is a very easy way to drag litigation so that witnesses are wiped out